big football fan, so I'm happy to be here in the best football program in probably the country. So, congratulations, any Marion local Flyers and your Breeden Cardinals in here. We always watch you guys, though, even living in Columbus. So, the mighty Mac, right? Well, let me begin, if you would. I'll just begin in prayer, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and I'll get into this. This shouldn't take more than 10-15 minutes with questions. So I appreciate your attention. Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can gather here. Just as I walk through here, I've never been in this building, or I guess I've been only on the first floor. It's amazing all the legacy of faith that exists inside this building. And it reminds me of how we are just vapor, Lord. 1,000 days is but nothing to you, and people walk out their faith and then they go be with you, and now it's our turn. We're walking out our faith, and I just pray, God, for your Holy Spirit to be with us tonight in this sacred place. May you speak through what I share, Lord, and may you bless us as we share fellowship tonight. Amen. So let me give you a quick 1-minute bio on me, and then I'll get into this. So as Devin said, I grew up in St. Henry. I graduated from St. Henry in 1997. I grew up in a big family, 10 kids. I'm number 9 of 10. After I was fortunate enough to be able to play football in college, I did that at Penn State, and so I haven't lived back here in this area for, well, really since 1997, I guess. I've lived in Columbus for 20 years, roughly. Met my wife there, Rachel. She's from Michigan. We have 6 children, and I'll get into why I'm here in a second. But I would say, and Devin and I were talking a little bit at the beginning, the Mercer County, or the southern Mercer County, has never left me. I think I'm very grateful to be here and be around you guys. I don't know if you're all from Mercer County, but just even living in Columbus, and there's a lot of people who grew up here that live in Columbus. Even some neighbors of mine are from St. Henry and Minster. There's a common bond there with, faith and work ethic and common values. So I appreciate being here tonight with you guys. I think I'll always be kind of a son of Mercer County. I'm here to talk to you about St. Joseph Home Healthcare, and really, I'm going to be clicking a little bit, so I'll keep coming back. I wish Nancy could have come. It's just a little bit too late for her. Nancy, this is why I'm here and why this ministry exists. That's my sister Nancy. That photo was taken about a year ago. I'm going to go through her story with you. Nancy and our family, so there's 10 kids. I'm number 9. I'm 43. Nancy is number 3. She's 58. And I'll get into what happened to her, but that's really why this ministry exists. So, what are you going to hear from me today? I didn't know I had all this animation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Nancy. I'm going to tell you about, within that, how that story inspired St. Joseph Home Healthcare, and then I'm going to tell you about what we do. And we're like just getting started. But I'm here ultimately tonight to, I've been talking to young people for about the last 9 months. Young people are an integral part of our mission to serve the elderly and disabled who are poor, in the hopes that maybe, this will land on someone's heart, and then, it's an opportunity to kind of seek the lost, serve the least. But let me go through Nancy's story first, and I think I'll just hold this because otherwise I'm going to have to keep going back and forth. Oh, that's not going to work.
I can click for you if you want. That'd be great. No, I lost the signal. Nancy was born in 1965.
I don't know if we'll get it back. But there we go. So you go to the next one, Devin. So Nancy was born, and she's 15 years older than me. This is her when she's 3, when she's 2. My parents had 4 girls in 5 years right off the bat, so kind of like my life. My life's kind of a circus with all of our kids. But go to the next one, Devin. She kind of, she was like all of us. That's her at her 8th birthday. This is Nancy, 1979, year I was born, walking in St. Henry 4th of July parade. Go to the next one. She was actually a very good athlete. Our brother, Jeff, is a great athlete. He played for the Steelers for 10 years back in the 2000s. But Nancy was also a very good athlete. Still holds the long jump record at St. Henry, actually. That's Nancy right there in 1980. Go to the next one, Devin. This is Nancy on her 16th birthday. And then this is Nancy on her 17th birthday. So let me tell you that's actually on Easter, 1 year after her 17th birthday. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened to her. She was driving in a car with 3 of her girlfriends out near Sharpsburg. It's actually on the intersection of Watkins Road and I forget what road goes this way towards Burgessville. That intersection. They lost control of the car, and she was in the back seat. Back then, people didn't really buckle up much, and she was thrown from the vehicle, pinned under the vehicle, and had a traumatic brain injury. So lost oxygen to her brain for 7-8 minutes. And my parents would tell a story. Both of my parents are deceased, unfortunately, but they would tell a story about, that was a hot July night, shortly after the St. Henry picnic, sitting on their porch. We lived right outside of town. My sister lives there now. It's just right outside St. Henry. And the ambulance whizzed by, and shortly thereafter, the police car came in to tell them that, Nancy had been in a terrible car accident. So she was taken to cold water. And then, go ahead, Devin. They transported her to Lima. They gave her basically no chance to live. So Mom and Dad moved into Lima Hospital for about 3 weeks. I was 2 years old during this time, so I don't remember Nancy prior to the accident. Nancy has no memory of her life before the accident. But this is Nancy about 4 months after she started to wake up from a coma around Thanksgiving, around this time of the year, 43 years ago, 42 years ago. So this is my mom and dad. What's crazy is Mom had a baby during this time too. It's like, wow. She had my brother Ben a month after Nancy's accident. You can go to the next one, Devin. This is my brother Ben. There's other siblings around. Nancy woke from her coma, couldn't talk, couldn't walk. That's my dad carrying her that's Grand Lake St. Mary's, I think. You go to the next one. Her recovery took years. So this is where my memories start to come in. I can remember Nancy crawling through our house, learning to walk again. So clearly had a big impact on me as a young little boy. She moved home 2 years later. This is me right there, in case you wonder. That's Nancy, obviously. But she ended up never even remotely recovered from this. But for many years, she had a steady job. She had a good circle of friends. One of her best friends actually lives right across the road from here on Superior Drive. And she had a pretty good life because she had good relationships. And all that started to change. Mom and Dad died in 16 and 18. You can go to the next one, Devin. And COVID happens. And one of the really bad unintended consequences of the COVID lockdowns is it really had a massive impact on Nancy's life. She lost her job. She lost her home. Her health declined. She ended up in a nursing home. And about 2 years ago, around this time, I began to get this idea about, you can go to the next slide, Devin. I went to visit Nancy. This was after if you guys remember, they actually wouldn't even allow visitors in nursing homes during that time. So at Christmas in 2020, we couldn't even visit Nancy. And I think that so jarred me that I began to think about, like, this is crazy. Like, these questions started to come to my mind. Is it right that people like Nancy just can tend to get pushed aside by the world? And as Christians, what are we supposed to do about that? Like, that's not right. And if we don't do something about it, who will? So I started a ministry. I don't know if we need the rest of the slides, but because I don't want to make this too long. But I started to get this idea, I don't know, how many of you are familiar with either nursing homes or home health? Anybody? Yes? So folks who do that work, they do good work. Long hours, hard work, and very low pay. And unfortunately, because it's very low pay, and when I say low pay, the average home health worker in the state of Ohio makes about $13 an hour. And nowadays, you can make a better wage in the fast food industry, much less other things. And as a result, Nancy was at home for 20 years, then she was in the home health world for until COVID. And then she was in a nursing home, and she's in a nursing home now. Her level of care was relatively inconsistent. So I started, and it's because, I work in corporate retail. I didn't mention that. That's what I do for a living. And what we always say is it's all about talent, right? You pay people a better wage, you get better people. So I started the St. Joseph ministry, St. Joseph Home Health Care, and you go to the next slide now, Devin. We can click through all this. There's a massive shortage of caregivers in this field because the pay is low and the work is hard. So just clicking through, I've mentioned these statistics and click all the way through to our mission, Devin. Nursing home life is, not a good life. It's very harmful to your health. You can keep going, Devin. Man, I didn't know I had all this animation in here. I just want to get to our mission statement right here. So, why do we exist is to allow more people to age at home. And the way we aim to do that is twofold: to pay people a better wage. So this is my first pitch to you, is if you or someone is in that home health kind of world, we're going to pay about 40% more than the normal wages, because we've been able to inspire donors to give a bunch of money to be able to do that, to reimburse Medicaid wages. But then the second part of it is to inspire, hopefully inspire young people. I understand Quo Vadis means where are you going, or something to that effect. And I was, I don't know what the average age is in here, but I'm guessing it's mid-20s. I can remember being that age, and I went and served in India for 6 months after the tsunami of '04, kind of searching, wanting to serve, discerned being a priest, ended up meeting my wife, and it's been great, frankly. But I think a huge part of our mission at St. Joseph is to have young people serve people like my sister, elderly people. And I think obviously Jesus teaches us that in serving others we receive more in return than that which we give. And if we go to the next few slides here, we can go through all this. Keep going, Devin. Keep going. Our charisms, this is what I want to quickly go through these. We want to breathe life into our clients. Go to the next one, Devin. We want the care we give our clients to be an offering to God. And we want, as you guys know, some of you who are familiar with the work, or even, none of you are probably, well, maybe you are, I don't know, fathers and mothers, but a lot of that care is given behind the scenes. So the reason I named the company St. Joseph is because Joseph is barely mentioned in Scripture, right? It's only mentioned in the Gospel of Luke, I think. But clearly, the character of Jesus was shaped by his father and his mother. But I think similarly to Joseph, caregiving is hard work that's mostly done behind the scenes. And in our ministry, we acknowledge that we don't ask for a bunch of credit, but we want to bless our clients, and we don't ask for anything in return. So those are our 3 charisms. Our mission is to deliver this, restful sleep, nourishing food, meaningful work, enrichment that challenges and brings joy. Our target client is poor, elderly, or disabled. People who have no options otherwise. And Nancy is a test case. She has no options. The county won't actually grant her funding unless St. Joseph provides her care, because no other provider in the area will take her. So I think of it similarly as Mother Teresa when she went to India. I think she told the people there, send me everybody that no one else will take. And that's, I have a ministry partner. He couldn't come tonight. His name is Ben Hodge. He's a physical therapist, but that's kind of our target client, is people that no one else can take. And if any of you have ever visited a nursing home, it's not the best quality of life. And our mission is to keep more people out of nursing homes, let them age at home. There is a massive shortage of caregivers now, and that shortage is going to get a lot worse in the next 10 years because of the amount of elderly people. So that's our mission, and I wanted to share a story in closing. I've thought about what our ministry, I've shared, what our ministry exists, why it exists. It's to bless the poor, elderly, and disabled. And I think about this time of year, Advent, and God. Advent's about a lot of things, but certainly it's about Jesus coming incarnate to be with us. And I'm 43. I've been through a lot of good and I've been through a lot of bad in my life, and I want to share a quick story about God's faithfulness, because I think this ministry, I think more than anything, is meant to be a witness to the world of how faithful God is. And I'll give you the context. It was 2018. I was sitting in church. My mom was a victim of suicide in February of 2018. It's terrible. 2 years after my dad died. And this was in the fall of 18. And I had Lilia, our 5th child. I was holding her in the cry room, rocking her, and they were playing. It was not a Catholic church, it was a Protestant church, and they were playing, anybody know the song by Elevation Worship? I'm going to blank on the name of it, but it's about the faithfulness of God. And I was holding her, and I was tired. Raising kids is exhausting. And I got this vision in my head of, I was on a beach, and I was holding a glass of water. And God, I felt like God, I didn't hear God say this, but I felt like God said, Joe, your faith is like this glass of water. And my faithfulness is like this ocean you're looking at. It's just so much bigger. And I was like, I was kind of blown away in the moment. I was like, wow, that's powerful. And then this was up in Michigan. I was visiting. We went to my father-in-law's church. And so then later that afternoon, I don't know what my kids were doing, messing around with him. I go for a jog. This is in the fall. And I felt like God gave me a second interpretation of that dream or that vision. And it went something like this. It was like, Joe, that glass of water is not your faith. That's the faithfulness of the entire church throughout all of time. That little glass of water. And this is my faithfulness. This ocean. And it still gives me goosebumps. But God is so faithful. And Jesus is so good. And I hope that this ministry, and Ben is a pastor, my co-ministry partner. Our hope is that through serving the poor, disabled, and elderly, people whom no one else can take, we can be a witness both to them and to the wider world of how faithful God is. So, and in doing so, that would be an acceptable offering to God. So, anyways, thank you for listening. That's we're starting in February in St. Henry area. So, we're looking to recruit as many people as we can to be involved. We've raised a bunch of money. We just need, workers now, basically. So, if any of this lands on your heart, I'm going to leave my card up here. So if you can grab one, reach out to me. But let me pause for any questions, comments anybody has before I close. I appreciate you guys listening. Yeah.
Just in the event that some people are here have different plans as far as career, but would be interested in helping in another way, could you say what some of those ways would be?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I didn't get it. What we're looking for specifically, yeah, that's good. Let that kind of open-ended. Really 3-month, 6-month, 12-month commitments. So, and what that looks like is, if you back up a little bit, Devin, I think I put in here kind of what it might look like as a missionary. Is it? No, one more. Like this might be, our clients are kind of, most of them need 24/7 care. So you could be part-time, you could be full-time, you are paid. But you're basically just like a friend to the individual. And there's different levels, like you can be a companion, you can be a full-on direct service provider, which that individual would be willing to, and you'd be trained for this, but dress and help dress, help bathe, help cook. You could be someone who cooks or cleans a house, so there's many different ways to help. We're not asking for money. We have enough money. It's amazing how many people want to give money. Not as many people want to give time, and that's all fine. But this is laid out kind of like it was called a direct service provider, DSP. I think of it as like you're just a friend that's there to help the person. So if and I'm looking for people that'll make somewhat of a commitment, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, just for stability of staffing. So yeah.
So if you're someone that was a full-time job already, is there any way to set up some system where they need their lawn mowed, if they're someone that doesn't have much family?
Yeah, absolutely. Or even, it's meant to be super flexible. I mean, we need people overnight. Overnight, what does that look like? That's literally just being at the house sleeping, and you're there in case something happens. And nothing almost ever happens. But someone needs to be there. So, or it could be, need a lawn mow every week. The ways to help are pretty diverse, I guess. So, yeah. I think the core of it is these individuals that are gonna, work 20 to 40 hours a week, and they're gonna do this and you're paid, clearly, but you're doing it as a steady commitment for a period of time. What else? Great questions, yeah.
I have family members who've done something similar to this before. Just kind of generally asking, is this something that you guys started this somewhere else and you're trying to bring it to this area, or is this something that is already kind of prevalent in this area and is trying to expand? I guess kind of what my question is.
Yeah. We are, so in my mind, it was always going to start here, because Nancy doesn't currently live here. Because of the caregiver shortage, she had to move to Columbus. Has presented a whole host of other issues. But because of what I mentioned at the beginning, just my familiarity with this area, the values in this area, I've always wanted to start it here. So we're starting in February. Nancy's our first client. I guess pending that God will send people to serve Nancy. And then Ben and myself are from Central Ohio. So in tandem to that, I mean, the need for this, you can imagine, is going to be limitless. And we already have people lined up that want St. Joseph to serve them. It's just a matter of missionaries and workers to deliver the care. I don't think money, I can see, is not ever going to be an issue. People are like lining up to give money to this. But here is where we're starting, to answer your question.
Yeah, sure. Do people who are looking into this kind of stuff, do they need certain types of training? Are you looking for like certain age groups or?
My ideal staff would be, so my sister Amy is actually going to be the first regional leader for Western Ohio. And she's going to do that for 6 months. She's taken a break from teaching to help get this started. My ideal staff complexion would be half people who are making a living at this, like planning to do this, and half people like you guys that might do it for 3 months and then peel off and go to college or whatever you guys do, or might do it on the side. John, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just pretty much going to say, so I'd say pretty much exactly answers it. Basically, you're looking for some people who are looking to have like a full-time sort of thing.
Yeah.
So basically, as to your whole point, it's very flexible. It's something that could be a full-time position sort of thing, or if they say, there's a lot of people planning for college and stuff, it's something that could help a lot of college students.
Totally. Yeah. I initially didn't have I didn't even get it because I don't want to go too long, but I didn't even have the missionary dimension of this in the vision at the beginning. Many of you might be familiar with Damascus. I know a lot of the guys at Damascus, the guys that started that, and out in Centerburg. And as I started to develop this, I started thinking like, well, crap, what if, even if I pay $20 an hour, I can't find people? And then this idea of, it's like a Peace Corps. It's like the Peace Corps, right? It's like Damascus. You serve as a missionary. Damascus missionaries serve young people. The Peace Corps missionaries serve foreign people. St. Joseph missionaries serve the poor, elderly, and disabled. So that's kind of the mission. So yeah. But I'd love to have, we're looking for 6 people. We have 2 hired right now, so, but none of those are missionaries. I'd love to have 2 to start. So I've been talking to young people for the last 6 months or so. We did have somebody serve over the summer, Jonathan, he's at Cedarville University now. He served Nancy over the summer in Columbus. But yeah. What else? Yeah.
What are the charisms of your ministry that make you guys distinct from other home health care providers?
I think there's a slide in here that talks about serving the whole person. People have, if wish Nancy could have came, because Nancy is in a wheelchair and she's mostly incommunicative. And if you wanted to talk to her, you have to be very patient. I once timed going into church with Nancy. I'm a math guy. And I thought to myself, it would take me 15 seconds to get from my car to church. It took us 15 minutes. That's 600 times longer, literally, if you do the math. And I thought, it takes 600 times longer to get anywhere with Nancy. But Nancy has the same needs as we have. She has dreams to move back to St. Henry. She wants to have conversations with people, meaningful conversations and meaningful relationships with people. But guess what? She can't, she can't unless somebody's there to help. It's like my little Noah, who's 1. The quality of his life depends completely on how good a parent me and my wife are. Well, Nancy, and we're all, if we live long enough, we'll all be like Noah. Our life evolves. we're totally dependent, then we become totally independent, then we become totally dependent. Well, Nancy's like fast forwarded. Why did God do it? I don't know. Why was Nancy in that accident? No, nobody else was hurt. It's amazing. She's totally dependent. Her quality of life is totally dependent. So our, what sets us apart, to answer your question, is trying, and I'm not going to say it's going to work that way in perfection, but our vision is to treat that individual holistically. It's not just about making sure they're fed and nourished and clothed. It's about relationship and giving them relationship. And many of our clients, I think, will be people who, unlike my sister, don't have family. Ben, my ministry partner, often reminds me of that. He'll be like, Joe, you have no idea how lucky your sister is to have 9 siblings who are super engaged, super involved. There's thousands of people who have no family. And if any of you visit nursing homes, I do with some frequency. It's just at one Thursday. Even though the workers there do yeoman's work, it's a terrible place to live. I mean, let's be honest. And I just think like what God has put on my heart is, well, if God's people don't try and do something, then who the hell is? So, and I think the answer is nobody. And I've studied the stats, and it's only going to get worse. So I think that's what sets us apart. We want to please God in what we do. We know that when we treat somebody with dignity and the inherent dignity that they're given by God, that's going to please God. Great question. What else? Great. Well, guys, I appreciate you listening and paying attention. And like I said, I'm gonna hang around for a little bit, but I'll leave my cards up here. If you have more questions, I have an email and phone number on there. Just landed on your heart. If you know of anybody, either as a missionary or a full part-time person, reach out to me, and you'll be trained. There's not a lot of training to do this kind of work, but you will be trained and you will be compensated. So, thank you.